each year you have different motivating features, and at this particular time, we're going to try to repeat.
No modern-day NFL team had ever won 3 championships in a row, and Vince Lombardi's attempt at the feat didn't come easy. The Packers were aging and racked with injuries. They looked exhausted, as did their head coach.
He drove himself and he drove his players and coaches to the point where he had it. You know, I thought he had just absolutely burned himself out.
I compared him to a president of the United States who is in office as a young man. He's fresh-faced, and he's, all bright-eyed and everything. And after about 3 years, he looks haggard, and he looks gray, and he looks worn, and he looks aged. In '67, Coach Lombardi looked that way. He looked gray, and he looked tired.
Lombardi's health was deteriorating. He had ulcers, he had stomach problems. He might have had other more serious problems. Several times his friends urged him to get a colonoscopy. And in the horrible, immortal last words, he said, "I'm not going to let somebody stick that up my ass."
Hobbled though they were, Lombardi's Packers pressed on and returned to the NFL championship game for a rematch with the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's look ahead to Sunday. The Dallas Cowboys and for the whole works.
That's right. Al, this is the big game of the year, and we're real happy we're going to play it in Green Bay, let me say that. And our field is going to be in good shape because unless something happens to that electric blanket we have out there.
Coach Lombardi invested a great sum of money on the electric coils that went underneath Lambeau Field. They were designed to keep the field from freezing, obviously, and it was a new concept.
He said, "Let me tell you what we did to this field." He's got this city of wires underneath the turf. Throw the switch, everything's gonna melt, we're gonna be fine, the field's gonna be in good condition.
That was Lombardi's baby, and he just loved to show people this control panel downstairs. It looked like something you'd see in a submarine, or there were all these handles and valves and cranks and all this stuff.
We're all in there and the lights are blinking. He's a mad scientist. He doesn't know a damn thing about it. And it says field electrified.
This is my pride and joy out here, this field here. Let's not cut it up.
Lombardi was the world's greatest control freak. There's no question about that. But the one thing he couldn't control was weather.
As the sun rose on game day, Lombardi had become as helpless as the ground beneath him.
The field, it had been covered the night before. The heat was coming up through the ground and bringing the moisture with it. And as they peeled the tarp off, the field was damp, and it was fairly soft. But as the cold worked on it, it started to freeze. And you could just see the field turning color, starting in the north end zone and going to the south. All of a sudden, we think, oh, my God, Coach Lombardi's field is frozen.
Finally, they turned to Chuck Lane and said, "Chuck, you better go and tell Coach."
I'd probably been better off telling him that Marie was running around on him.
He was just livid. Not because of the players playing on ice. He looked bad.
And Lombardi's looking at the field, and he says, "It's going to be all right." That's terrible. It's just terrible.
The stage was set for a game that even before kickoff had earned its nickname, the Ice Bowl.
The field grew worse as the game wore on. And it was a skating rink more than a football field.
The Packers took a 14-0 lead. And then, as wind chill temperatures reached -38 degrees, their offense froze.
Footing was so bad, and the hands were so cold, and the receivers catching the ball was difficult. So one score could make a big difference.
The pitch out to Reeves. He'll throw the option pass way downfield. It is complete to Lance Ritzel. He's at the 10, the 5, and into the end zone for the touchdown. And it's the Dallas Cowboys 17, the Green Bay Packers 14. And the Packers have got their work cut out for them now.
I hate to say it, but I had lost faith in the offense. I really had, because they hadn't done a thing. They had shut the offense down completely.
So we get the ball, 4.5 minutes to go. We got 65 yards to go to score.
Starr takes the snap. He's back to throw. He's got the time. Flips out to the right side to Donnie Anderson. Gets by one man. He's at the 40-yard line. And now
and they started moving.
Flips the pass. It's complete to Chuck Racine. He's at the 25, the 20, down to the 15, and out of bounds at about the 11-yard line. There's a minute and 11 seconds remaining in this game.
In the most adverse conditions they had ever faced, the Packers moved down the field in 9 plays and into position to score a game-winning touchdown.
Actually, I was looking for a suggestion from Jerry Kramer and Forrest Gregg as to what particular type of play and what kind of blocking that we should particularly run in that area.
Only even block would be odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably odd blocking.
The players spotted a weakness in Dallas defensive lineman Jethro Pugh.
I said, we can wedge Pugh if we have to. He goes, what? I said, we can wedge Pugh if we have to. That's right.
I didn't cut Pugh off. Pugh goes down easy.
I mean, even, so he can get on the middle.
Even, yeah. Even.
All right.
It's a give and take. I'm not the complete autocrat here, do you see, as everybody thinks.
The Packers had identified their target, but the real enemy was the ice.
So we called the play twice. The backs were slipping and sliding and couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage.
The handoff goes to Donnie Anderson. He's not in. The Packers call time again.
And then we take our final timeout, and Bart asked me if I could make a block.
Can you get your footing for one more wedge play?
Yeah, I think so.
So I ran to the sideline and got over there, and I said, Coach, there's nothing wrong with the play. I said, the backs simply can't get to the line of scrimmage because the ground is so hard there. I said, I'm standing upright. I can shuffle my feet and lunge in. All he said at that time was, well, then run it, and let's get the hell out of here. And I'm laughing like I am now, going back to the huddle. And I'm trying to not let anybody see me laughing because it just broke me up. That was his response.
That's all the timeouts the Green Bay Packers have. They are still inches away from that goal line.
On 3rd down with 16 seconds to go, Lombardi gambled everything on one last play.
Landry would have called a rollout, and a lot of people would have called a rollout.
Watch that star now, come on. Grab him if he fakes it.
Lombardi wanted to run the wedge play. If you can't gain a yard, you don't deserve to be champions.
Here are the Packers. 3rd down, inches to go. To Bader. Star begins the count. Takes the snap. He's got the quarterback sneak, and he's into the touchdown. And the Green Bay Packers are going to be NFL champions for the 3rd straight year.
My perspective on the last drive in the Ice Bowl is that that is the culmination of everything Lombardi and his Packers had been preparing for all of those 9 years together.
We got a little commitment, a little discipline, a little perseverance, a little preparation, a little consistency, a little intensity. We reached down, we got a little bit of Lombardi. Brookshire is interviewing Coach Lombardi.
Slow motion now as Jerry Kramer makes a key block for Bart Starr on this quarterback sneak for the winning touchdown.
And he runs a play, and Coach goes, way to go, Jerry, way to go.
Nobody got a -2 on the final play of the Ice Bowl. But even as Lombardi had accomplished his goal of winning 3 straight titles, he was strangely detached.
The story's outside, not in here.
We get in the car, and he turns to me and says, you just saw me coach my next to last football game.
Super Bowl II would be the final game Lombardi coached as a Packer. In beating the Raiders, Lombardi went out a champion. He had done what no other NFL coach had accomplished, winning 5 titles in 9 years. 2 weeks later, the Lombardi era officially ended.
Gentlemen, let me introduce to you the new head coach of the Green Bay Packers, Mr. Phil Bankston.
I think that in part it was the accumulation of the stress. I think it was partly his health. I think he was afraid, honestly, about what would happen to him if he kept coaching.